For a long time, I've had this tag from a tea bag pinned to my corkboard. It reads, "Socialize with compassion, kindness, and grace." That message happened to find me on a day when I was not feeling much kindness or compassion. I was feeling overwhelmed and wrapped up in my own problems and resentful of the guests I was hosting at the time. Reading those words right then helped me step back from the spiral my emotions were riding, helped me breathe, and approach the situation in a softer way that included kindness and compassion both for myself and for the people around me. But what about grace? That's what I'm going to talk about today. What exactly is grace? Why does it matter? And how can we embrace it in our lives? I've been thinking about this a lot recently, so let's get to it. I'm Jen, and I'm not a therapist or anything of the sort. I am a person who has struggled with mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and complex PTSD. For the past several years, I've been digging deep into how to cope, how to heal, and even how to be happy with mental illness that will probably never completely go away. I know that I can't be the only person who wants this, so consider me your mental health comrade. I'm sharing what I learned as I learn it and reminding you that you are definitely not alone. I was raised Christian, very Christian, and even though I'm no longer part of that faith, one thing that has stuck with me is the fundamental role that grace plays in the Christian belief system. Stick with me. Grace in Christianity is the capacity for a divine being to love and embrace even the most undeserving. It's compassion without reason. The common definition of grace has more to do with how you present yourself. It's about moving through the world with elegance and manners and kindness and ease. When I think about grace, I think about both of those definitions, along with the Buddhist concept of loving kindness, that is a feeling of warmth and goodwill towards both yourself and others. Grace, to me, is the state of loving and accepting yourself so unconditionally that it's obvious to others that they deserve the same. Grace starts here, not out there or up there. To me, grace isn't about embracing the unworthy. It's about realizing that we are all inherently worthy. You don't have to earn grace. You don't need to deserve it. Grace doesn't mess with that stuff. You are, and therefore you can give yourself grace. We spend our whole lives measuring ourselves and comparing and attempting to live up to these impossible standards. The idea that we could possibly let go of all that is hard to even wrap our minds around. But if we can, if we let ourselves, I think amazing things can happen. I recently attended an introductory session for a course I'm planning to take from the Center for Mindful Self-Compassion. And the instructor of that intro quoted one of the founders of the center, Dr. Chris Germer, as saying, "When we learn to give ourselves the attention we need, we don't need so much attention." That made immediate sense to me, because how much time have I spent criticizing myself and trying to become what I thought everyone else wanted me to be, and to do what I thought everyone else wanted me to do. I spent half my life, more than half my life, practically paralyzed with indecision and a fear of doing something wrong. But recently, I've started practicing grace, which, come to think of it, probably has a lot in common with self-compassion. I'll get back to you on that as I learn more in this class. Grace says it doesn't matter if I mess up. It doesn't matter if someone doesn't like me. It doesn't matter if I choose a 2-hour nap over washing the dishes, or if I miss a self-imposed deadline, or if I can't summon the energy to take my car in for an oil change. Sure, I may face real-world consequences for those things, and I have, but they don't change my inherent worth. Grace, my concept of grace, says that no matter what, I am worthy. And I'm finding that, as Dr. Germer suggested, if I believe myself to be inherently worthy of my own love and acceptance, it somehow results in it being easier and more fulfilling for me to accomplish the tasks that are most important in my life. Some of which I used to find myself putting off because of resentment and guilt. Extending myself grace, that simple act, has interrupted the cycle of self-criticism and blame that was sapping my energy and continually putting me in a no-win situation. Giving myself grace is a no-lose situation, because no matter what, I remain worthy. And that acceptance frees me up to accomplish more. This is the point where I wish I had something like a 5-step plan. How to embrace grace and finally start loving yourself. But I don't. I haven't figured it all out yet. Just like it doesn't work for a depressed person to say, just stop being depressed and start being happy, it's not as simple as deciding to just stop criticizing yourself and start extending yourself grace. A lifetime of ingrained thought patterns don't shift with a single decision. Except the first step is always a single step. And maybe in this case it is just that, making a single decision, the decision to give yourself grace. I'm not saying it's easy, or that the old familiar thought patterns won't pop up again and again. You'll probably have to make that same decision over and over and over. I know I do. But it gets a bit easier each time. And here's hoping that if we make it enough times, it will become the default way that we interact with ourselves and with others as well. Because part of grace is embracing the way you treat yourself so that it shows through in how you treat others. Here's hoping. Until next time, I am wishing you love and joy and all of those good things. And I can't wait to talk to you again.